Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday, April the 8th. Mark Milam here, your mortgage professional with Highland Mortgage, coming to you with this week's interest rate summary and market update. Well, for the week ending April 1st, April Fool's Day, that's 2 weeks ago, that was the 1 week so far in 2022 where we held ground. We didn't improve in interest rates, but we didn't lose any ground either. Unfortunately, that trend did not continue into this past week. We've watched the market lose anywhere between a quarter to 3/8 of a point in rate in 1 week. Most of that damage done on Tuesday of this past week. The market reacting to one of the Fed members, the last name Brainerd, making some comments in a regularly scheduled speech that some very hawkish comments about the Fed aggressively raising interest rates and the Fed aggressively tapering or unloading their holdings of mortgage-backed securities. So at the beginning of the pandemic, the Fed already held some mortgage-backed securities, some mortgages. But with the pandemic purchase program, quantitative easing, the Fed's balance sheet has ballooned to over $2.5 trillion worth of mortgages. And the Fed coming out and saying, hey, not only are we going to stop buying mortgages, not only are we raising the Fed funds rate, but we're actually going to start unwinding our position with our holdings, and all that extra supply funneling into the market is not great news for mortgage-backed securities. If you're looking for any rationale as to why we're worsening this past week, I guess that's really it. It's mainly sentiment. The market already knew this. There wasn't a ton of data that came out in the past 5 business days to warrant the moves that have been made. Candidly speaking, mortgage-backed securities are just not a sexy investment right now. No one is looking to put their money in any sort of bond. And that's a problem for mortgage-backed securities. It's going to continue to be a problem for mortgage-backed securities as we move through the spring and on into summer. Inflation being the buzzword there. And next Tuesday, we get the next inflation report looking backwards into March. And all eyes are anticipating somewhere around 8.3 to 8.5% inflation. That's not great news. That is over 400% of the Fed's target rate. And that will continue to worsen mortgage pricing again as we move through the balance of April on into May. One silver lining moment that I could give you as it pertains to where we might be headed with all of this came out. I read it this morning, and let me pull over here. This is off of Yahoo News, and this is UBS. UBS predicts that inflation has peaked, and it warns that March's consumer price index, which is the measure of inflation, is going to be really nasty. We know that's coming. We're predicting the next Tuesday we're going to see about 8.5% on the CPI, but then they're starting to predict that inflation will moderate as we move through the balance of April, May, June, all the way through here to the end of the year, where they're forecasting inflation to be as low as 3.4% by the conclusion of 2022. If this plays out as they predict, and they predicted this curve pretty accurately, matter of fact, they were more pessimistic about inflation in late 2021, early 2022 than everybody else was. If they're accurate on this backside prediction, boy, that would be welcome news, not only for the mortgage industry, but for the country, because we could certainly stand to see inflation start to moderate everywhere from the grocery store to the pump to cars, whatever you're looking to purchase. The value of it has certainly been inflated over the first quarter of this year. So where does that put us? Well, that puts us in some of the worst territory that we've seen in the past 5 to 6 years in terms of mortgage interest rates. We're now right around that 5% bellwether mark for the 30-year fixed. And again, we're probably going to see that trend continue at least for the balance of April. Hopefully, we'll start to see inflation mitigate, at least plateau, and then start to come down as we move through May, June, July, August. But for now, brace yourselves, because unfortunately not a lot of great news out there as it pertains to mortgage interest rates. If I can be of any service to you, don't hesitate to reach out, mark.milam@highlandmtg.com.